What's up, home buyers? Today we're going to talk about Bitcoin.
Oh my god, shut up.
Anyway, so the question in everyone's mind is, can you use Bitcoin as down payment? And I'm addressing this primarily because of the growing trend that I'm seeing more and more people including cryptocurrencies and Bitcoin as a portion of their investment portfolio, and I've gotten a number of requests, especially in the last few weeks, of can we use this as down payment? So I wanted to address that, but really everything I talk about in this video could apply to other things that you want to use as down payment as well. So just basically sourcing funds. So whether you've got Bitcoin or not, hopefully this is helpful. I will not be providing investment advice, hyping up new technologies, or discussing price predictions. This is strictly me helping people figure out how to use their assets to buy a house. But you should invest in yourself.
How neat is that?
Now, if you don't know what Bitcoin is, you probably heard someone try to explain it to you, and it sounded a little bit like
the way American millions of computers to track each and every Bitcoin on a public ledger called the blockchain. When you want to send someone a Bitcoin, you publicly announce that your account is sending a Bitcoin to the recipient's account.
I think that's a pretty good explanation, so I'm just going to leave it at that. Okay, for those of you who are new, essentially it's a digital currency that uses encryption technology to regulate the creation of new funds and the transfer of other funds so that nothing can be duplicated, and it doesn't need the regulation of a central bank or a third-party authority. But currently, just like euros or pesos, if you want to buy a house in America with it, you've got to convert it to US dollars. So here we go. All money that you plan to use for purchasing a home or getting a mortgage for a down payment, closing costs, it has to be sourced, meaning we have to know where it came from. We're going to need a paper trail proving that that money belongs to you. Before we get too deep, let me give you a quick tip that if you follow this, you may not need any of the other information in the video. It's the 60-day seasoning rule. In most cases, and I always say most, you won't be asked to provide bank statements older than 60 days old. So anything you deposit prior to 60 days before you plan to go under contract on a home, we don't need to know about. If it's in your account, we just assume it's yours and there's no further verification that's needed. So if you've got money coming in from anywhere, whether that's cash, overseas transfers, Bitcoin, selling Zippos at the flea market, whatever it's coming from, if you've got it in your account 60 days prior to going under contract, you probably won't be asked to provide any sort of verification for it. We just look at the statements, see it in there, and we assume it's yours.
That's pretty neat.
So if you don't have 2 months, then any new deposits that are coming into your accounts that you're using that we're going to submit to underwriting, we have to source those. And for certain types of deposits, that can be a little bit tricky. But here's the problem with Bitcoin. It's mostly bought and traded on exchanges similar to a stock exchange, and then it can be either left there or it can be sent to private wallets that are encrypted. And private wallets don't contain any data that actually links the owner to a specific person. So it doesn't contain any data like your bank account would have your name and your address and maybe your social security number. It doesn't have any of that. So sourcing and proving who it belongs to can be kind of a challenge. If you can prove and provide clear documentation that shows that you actually purchased Bitcoin, held on to it, and then later converted it back to US dollars, then we can use that, and it can be fairly simple especially if you use some of the mainstream. So like Coinbase is a common account base that provides a transaction history and can show you. But if you're involved in trading, mining, or otherwise earning it in some way, then that could be a little bit more difficult. It's probably going to be highly specific, and you're going to want to talk to your mortgage professional about how exactly or what specific documents you're going to have to provide to show the paper trail of where the funds are coming from. If you can't provide anything except your word, then it's going to be basically treated the same way as cash, and we can't accept it. Because, how do we know you're not in bed with the cartels?
I've been having a real problem lately with people thinking that I'm a drug dealer.
Straight up cash is one of the most difficult things to source, and so really just avoid it. But I know there's a lot of people out there that just like to keep money at home in a safe, and this is basically the conversation that I have with them all the time. Yet the qualification is going to be based on the money actually belonging to you. If you're just throwing in cash, we don't know where that money came from originally, and so we can't give you credit for it. And actually, if you throw in huge deposits that we can't source, we have to deduct that amount from your total balance.
That is absurd. Okay, now I am not a drug dealer. Okay, just because I want to wear this green hoodie that I got for real cheap, that's not what drug dealers do. That's just me being, savvy. Being like money savvy.
I don't write the guidelines, man. I'm just trying to help you navigate the waters of regulation so you can buy a house. So in sum, make your life easy and remember the 60-day rule. If you're going to be difficult, here's just a glimpse of some of the paperwork hurdles you might have to jump through. I've actually had someone transferring funds from a Russian account for down payment, and we actually ended up having to hire a Russian financial consultant to translate their bank statements into English. That's a little bit of a hassle, whereas if they had just transferred those funds a few weeks earlier, would have been fine. So those kind of things, we're able to do it, but if we can have a plan early, it can save you a little bit of headache later down the road. What are some of the other eligible sources for down payment? And I want to preface this by saying that always get a personal consultation, because the rules are going to be a little bit different depending on who you are. There's lots of different loan programs, and the actual requirements may vary based on credit score, loan type, the house, the type of home it is, the location, the time of year. There's a whole bunch of different factors that go in, and sometimes the guidelines change. So it doesn't have to be super complicated, but it can be if you try to figure it all out on your own and you Google things and it's from last year and the guidelines are different. Anyway, some of the sources, you can get a gift from family members. Sometimes you can get it from a close friend, but you have to actually document that they're so close that it's not family, because we want to make sure it's not a loan that you're taking from someone. So with family members, if they're giving a gift, we have to get a 30-day bank statement from them showing where the funds are coming out of their account into your account, or if they're just wiring it at closing, we still need to see where it's coming prior so that we can tell everyone, hey, we've looked at the account and we know that the funds are coming. You can also get funds from a tax return. You can also sell an item, and what you sell can vary too. If you sell something like a car that has a chain of title, that makes it easier to prove that it was yours and you sold it than if you're just whittling trinkets in your garage and selling them at a yard sale. That's a little bit harder to prove. Getting random checks from random people, again, cartels.
Okay, I am flabbergasted.
That's it for today. Thank you guys for listening. I hope this was helpful and informative. If you have any questions, just mention in the comments. I'll do my best to answer, and hope you have a great day. Peace.